Exodus chapter 18. Let's get it. Jethro's advice. And Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, with her 2 sons, of whom the name of one was Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a foreign land. Verse 4, and the name of the other was Eleazar, for he said, the God of my father was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to Moses in the wilderness, where he was encamped at the mountain of God. Verse 6, now he had said to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons with her. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down and kissed him, and they asked each other about their well-being, and they went into the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. Verse 9, then Jethro rejoiced for all the good which the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, blessed be the Lord who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, and who has delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Verse 11, now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods, for that's gods with a small g, because there is only one God. For in the very thing in which they are behaved proudly, he was above them. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrificed to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. Verse 13, so it was on the next day that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood before Moses from morning until evening. Verse 14, so when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did for the people, he said, what is this thing that you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit and all the people stand before you from morning until evening? And Moses said to his father-in-law, because the people come to me to inquire of God. When you have a difficulty, they come to me and judge between one another, and I make known the statutes of God and his laws. So when Moses' father-in-law said to him, the thing that you do is not good. Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out, for this thing is too much for you. You are not able to perform it by yourself. Verse 19, listen now to my voice. I will give you counsel, and God will be with you. Stand before God for the people, so that you may bring the difficulties to God. And you shall teach them the statutes and the laws, and show them the way in which they must walk and the work they must do. Verse 21, moreover, you shall select from all the people able men such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of the hundreds, rulers of the 50s, and rulers of the 10s. Verse 22, and let them judge the people at all times when it will be that every great matter they shall bring to you, but every small matter they themselves shall judge. So it will be easier for you, for they will bear the burden with you. Verse 23, if you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all the people will go to their place in peace. Verse 24, so Moses heeded the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said. And Moses chose able men out of all of Israel, and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, rulers of 10s. So they judged the people at all times, and hard cases they brought to Moses, but they judged every small case themselves. Verse 27, then Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way to his own land. That is the end of chapter 18. Now let's go on to chapter 19. In the 3rd month after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. For they had departed from Rehoboam, had come to the desert of Sinai, and camped in the wilderness. So Israel camped there before the mountain. A little trouble with that word. Verse 3, and Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Verse 5, now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. So Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before them all these words which the Lord commanded him. Then all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken we will do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, behold, I come to you in the thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak to you, and believe you forever. So Moses told the words to the people of the Lord. Verse 10, then the Lord said to Moses, go to the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and let them be ready for the 3rd day, for on the 3rd day the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, take heed to yourselves that you do not go up to the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Verse 13, not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow, whether man or beast. He shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain. Then Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, be ready for the 3rd day. Do not come near your wives. Then it came to pass on the 3rd day in the morning that there was thunderings and lightning and a thick cloud on the mountain, and the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was completely in smoke because the Lord descended upon it in the fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. Verse 19. Then when the blast of the trumpet sounded long and became louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him by voice. Then the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go down and warn the people, lest they break through to gaze at the Lord, and many of them perish. Also the priests who come near the Lord, sanctify them, lest the Lord break out against them." Verse 23. And Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, Set bounds around the mountain and sanctify it." Verse 24. Then the Lord said to him, "Away, get down, then come up, and you and Aaron with you, but do not let the priests and the people break through and come up to the Lord, lest he break out against them." So Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. End of chapter 19. Chapter 20, the 10 Commandments. And God spoke all these words, saying, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Verse 3, "You shall have no other God before me. You shall not make for yourselves any carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them, for I am the Lord your God. I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me." Verse 6, "But showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and to keep my commandments." Verse 7, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." Verse 8, "Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy." Verse 9, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, nor shall your son, nor shall your daughter, nor shall your maidservant, nor shall your maidservant's servant, nor shall your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. Verse 11, "For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." Verse 12, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord God is giving you." Verse 13, "You shall not murder." Verse 14, "You shall not commit adultery." Verse 15, "You shall not steal." Verse 16, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." Verse 17, "You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Verse 18, "The people afraid of God's presence." Now all the people witnessed the thunderings, the lightning flashes, the sound of the trumpet, and the mountains smoking. When the people saw it, they trembled and stood afar off. Then they said to Moses, "You speak with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us unless we die." Verse 20, and Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, and that all his fear may be before you, so that you may not sin." So the people stood afar off, but Moses drew near the thick darkness where God was. Verse 22, the law of the altar. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, you have seen that I have talked with you from heaven." Verse 23, you shall not make anything to be with me, gods, small g, of silver or gods of gold you shall not make for yourself. Small g gods there. Verse 24, an altar of earth you shall make for me. You shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings, your peace offerings, your sheep, your oxen, in every place where I record my name. I will come to you and I will bless you. And verse 25, and if you make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of hewn stone. For if you use your tool on it, you have profaned it. Verse 26, nor shall you go up to the steps to my altar, that your nakedness not be exposed on it. End of chapter 20. Well, we saw a lot go on there. We saw the 10 Commandments being handed down to Moses, of course. And this is the starting of the law. Moses is the one in the Bible that brings the law to the people. And we have the 10 Commandments here. It looks like there's a lot more of them, but technically there are 10 commandments here. And for me personally, I have violated all 10 of them. And that's why I need to be saved by Jesus Christ. I cannot save myself by trying to be a good person. And those are just the facts of life. And a lot of people cannot accept that. But I accept that, and I realize I am a sinner. And I have violated all of these. And I need to be saved by the blood of the cross.